Hello, this is Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to have an A to Z overview about PowerPoint. So we are going to touch each menu option that we have in PowerPoint, and by the end of this video you should be feeling much more comfortable and in control when using PowerPoint. So let's get started and simply open the application, and the very first interface that we have is this one, where you can choose between a blank presentation and one of the themes proposed by PPT, by PowerPoint. If you want to also check the additional themes, you can click on more themes and you can choose the one that better fits your needs. I would recommend you, however, to start with a blank presentation and then to customize it, and later on in this video you will understand what I mean by this and which is the reason for proposing you to do this. So the very first experience or interaction with PowerPoint looks like this. We have actually three main layers, where we have the menu layer at the top, where we have all the options. Here at the right we have the slides, which are actually the boards that are going to that we are going to use for our presentation. And here at the bottom we have the status bar, where we can add or remove options as we wish. In my case, I have the number of slides, so here is counting me the slides, and it's also showing me on which slide I am based on the total. Then I have the language, the document language, the notes, which are actually your personal notes. For instance, if you are going to the first slide and say welcome, hello, and whatever you want to say for your presentation, keeping in mind that the notes are not going to be visible to your audience if you are presenting your document as a show. And if you are using multiple monitors, then you can leverage the functionality of PowerPoint to show you your notes and the current slide and the upcoming slide, and then to be able also to switch between the slides without your audience to know, because you are going to make the slideshow on other monitor. And now I'm going to explain also what I'm referring to by slideshow, because aside of notes, here we have the normal view. So now we are in the normal view. Sorry, let's hide the notes. Then we have the slide sorter, which looked like this. We have only the slides. Then we have the reading view, which looks like a document, like reading a readable document. And then we have the slideshow, and this is how your presentation is going to be shown to your audience. So let's get back to the normal view and think about the menu. What we have for the menu, it's a set of options that might differ, but also we can customize them. So if I'm right clicking here at the menu level and I go to customize the ribbon, the customize the ribbon will open me the PowerPoint options, and here I can choose which kind of menu options I want to have, or if I want to reinstate, for instance, the initial menu configuration, I can go to customization, reset all customizations, and that will reinstate the initial menu options that I had for my PowerPoint. So let me start by talking about the home menu option that we have here. So we have the undo and redo option with those arrows. So this allows me to undo or redo something. Let's say that I want to say hello, and then welcome. If I'm pressing on the undo, that will undo my last action, so that will cancel my last action. If I want to revert that last action, I can click on the redo typing and that will show up again. Then we have the clipboard options, which are really common and very used in most cases, using shortcuts or using the menu options. If I'm copying the hello, for instance, I'm going here and clicking on copy. One thing that I would like to highlight is that we have this small arrow, and if we zoom it, is this small arrow, and if we click on that one, this clipboard menu will be present. So we can see that in the clipboard, actually, which is not visible by default, everything that we copy is placed there. So if I'm going here and pressing Ctrl C and getting back here, I can see that also took that into the clipboard. That's very important. First, when you need to paste multiple times the same thing, or in some cases we might have a copy-paste error, known also as a copy-paste error, and then to fix it quickly, what you can do is simply to go on clear all, and your problem should be solved. So how that error actually acts is that you are, for instance, copying welcome and trying to paste it here, and when you paste welcome, it's pasting you hello. So this kind of error I'm referring to. Let's move ahead and make some formatting changes, and then to see what Format Painter does. So I will change my format to this one. I will also increase, so let me also here increase the intended, increase my font size, sorry. I can also make it red, or let's put it green. I can green, okay, or I can choose a green background with a white font. So let me put it white, and then I can also play with what I have here, the bold, italic, underline. So I need first to change that kind of font. Take Arial, for instance, and then B will make it bold, I will make it italic, U will make it underline, keeping in mind that that might be a bit misleading because people might think that that's a hyperlink there, so keep that in mind. Then we can also, let me go here and write, let's say 120, press enter. This is my text. Let me remove the color, the background color, and also move the text to blue, for instance. You can see it now how it is, and you can also click on the S to add a shadow. So you can see here that I have some shadows at my text level. Then you can strike through your text if you want to. You can make more space or less space between your letters. So being a sort of a text editor, PowerPoint allows us to do that one also. Then we can also play with uppercase, lowercase, sentence case, capitalize each word. We only have one, so we cannot see hello people. And then make it smaller, and if we play with this, we see lowercase, uppercase, capitalize each word, or that toggle case that will lowercase the first letter and uppercase all the other letters till the end. So let me leave it like this for the moment, and then if I want to take that formatting, I can play with Format Painter. So I'm selecting all what I want to take the format from. I'm clicking on Format Painter. You can see that small brush that I have here. And if I'm going here it will simply replicate the same formatting. Or what I can do is to go here, copy this, and then here to paste the destination theme, or to keep the source formatting. So by destination theme, we are meaning that small part, the subtitle. By the source formatting, it's actually the title, the source from where we took the text. Then we can convert it into a picture if we want to, or simply paste it as text only. Let's place it as a picture, and now we have this that we can take with cut with Ctrl X, and let's place it here. And this is our picture. It's no longer text but a picture. And then that picture you could also change it if you want to, or you can save as a picture, so you can go outside PowerPoint to use that saved picture. So mainly that's what we have in font and clipboard. Then we have the slides options, which are those ones. So we can go and either click on new slide, which will create a general new slide, or we can select also the layout. And by layout, you can see here that we'll change the format, the visualization of my slide. So you can choose which kind of slide do you want. You can add your new slide and then move on the layout. You can do also that one, or what you can do is to reset the position, the size, formatting, and whatever. And also the same options are available if you right click here at the left. So here you can add new slide, but you can also add a new section like here. So you can choose which one is more comfortable for you. Let's stick to the menu, and if we click here, add section, we can say that we have the intro part. Rename, and now we have the intro. What we can do is simply to drag and drop our slides, and we can also rename the default section if we want to. So we can right click and say default section intro actually, and then rename the intro and say content. And as soon as we have those sections, actually we will be able to collapse the sections. And that's can be very useful when you are having some key topics, primary topics, and then you want to go into the details. So that could be useful for you to keep track how many slides I have per topic, how I want to address them, how much level of detail I have for a slide. So that could be useful from your a framework main point of view. Then let's take let's put this as intro and the blank slides as content for the moment. And for the content, I have this kind of layout. You can see here that I have a bullet point. I can say here topic 1, and then enter topic 2, and then topic 3, and so on and so forth. Because I had those bullet points. If I didn't have, for instance, let me take another layout and say that I have, let's say, title only. And here in the title, let's add a text box and to align it to the other one. And here I don't have any bullet points. So let me add here topic 1, topic 2, and topic 3. And then if I want to add those bullet points, I can go here at the upper level and choose among the bullet points that I have. So might be circles, might be squares, might be a check mark, whatever we want, or we can even customize them. We can also use the numbering using those kind of options, or again, we can customize it. We can even add a picture for our bullet points. For the moment, let's stick to the circles for bullet points. And then what we can do is also to align the text to the middle, to the right. By default should be to the left, or centered, justified. So to justify it from all the angles. What we can do, it's also to change the text that we have into 2 or 3 columns if the text is applicable for that one. As I have only topic 1, cannot be split by 2 or 3 columns, but if you have more text, that it's possible. If you want to increase the intended or to decrease the intended, what you can do is you can see how my text is going to the left or to the right. You can also choose the space that you have between the lines, so should be quite easy customizable. If you want to change the text direction, you can choose from here, for instance, so to have your text in a different angle. Or what you can also do is to keep in mind that you have for the sections of your document, you have that arrow that you can play with. And for instance, you can put it like this. And you are changing not the text direction, but actually the section direction as you wish. So if you want to create more impact, you can also play with that one. And for instance, you can take a full section, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and that section to be like this. So you can create a sort of effect if you want to. Okay. Then what we can do is to take that part and to align the text. We can align to the middle. Sorry, I think here it's not easy to show you, but let me also make it a bit bigger. Okay, that's great. Let me align it to the top. We are on top, middle, or bottom. Sorry, it's, let me put it like this, and let's take this one to align it to the middle, to the bottom. So as it was really a specific text and I play with, is no longer applicable for putting to top, middle, or bottom. So this is how top, middle, and bottom are working. If you want to convert that in a smart art, we can simply click here and see what kind of smart art we have. So that would be one kind of smart art. I wouldn't recommend you to take the text and then to create a smart art. I would prefer to, personally, I would prefer to first add the smart art that I want to use and then add my text. So in some cases, what might result from converting text to a smart art might be messy, depending on your text, but we will see for the smart art how we can do the other way around. Moving ahead with what we have, let's add a new slide from here, and here we have some shapes. So for the shapes, let me choose a layout of blank slide, and to add, for instance, a smiley face, and then let me add also cloud, and also let me add a sun. Okay, so let's make the sun yellow, the smiley green, and the cloud blue. So I can add these kind of shapes if I want to. Then I can select multiple shape at once. For instance, you can see that this one is being selected because we can see the borders with the dots. Or if we press and keep press the control will also select the other ones. And then we can play with them, we can change colors, for instance, we can do whatever we want with all of them at once. But we will see a bit later that part when moving to arrange. For the shapes, I would highlight the fact that aside of the shapes, what we have here at the bottom are some action buttons, sorry. So let's play a bit with the action buttons and see what those buttons are doing. So this is my very last slide. So let me add that home button, and as soon as we add it, we have this hyperlink to the first slide because it was the home option by default. We have a series of options that we can choose from, but in this case, let me keep the first slide. Then at the first slide, let me go again and choose that symbol and take the last slide. Okay. Now, if I go to the presentation mode by clicking here to slideshow, you can see it. Oh, let me zoom it a bit. I'm here. If I go to the slideshow, if I go with the arrows at the right, for instance, I go slide by slide. Perfect. But if I'm going to the mouse with the mouse and hovering that shape and clicking on that shape, it will take me to the very last slide. And if I click at the very last slide on the house, it will lead me to the very first slide. So depending on your presentation layout, on your audience, on your preferences, if you need, for instance, to keep a set of slides very close, for instance, you have slide 3 and 4 and you know that you are going to anticipate something in the slide 3 about the slide 4, and then in the 4th you also want to have an option to get back to the 3. Aside of clicking on the arrows, you can also add that kind of action button. So that could be useful. And again, it depends a lot. You can customize them. You can change the color as you wish. So you have the shape format here and you can do whatever you want, for instance. But at the same time, it's good to know that we have this kind of option. Then, getting back to our shapes, for arrange, what we have, we can, for instance, overlap the images. And you can see that the sun is overlapping the smiley face and the cloud. If I'm going to arrange and I'm bringing, I'm sending backward, I sent one layer back my sun. So sending backward or forward means to move one layer back or in the front, where layers should be this kind of overlapping images. So in my case, smiley would be layer 1, sun for the moment layer 2, and cloud layer 3. If I want to move the cloud from the layer 3 to the to send it back would mean to send it as back as possible. So I'm going here and that's it. So if you have any preference on overlapping shapes or images or elements, you can use those bring to front, bring back, bring to forward, send to back, send backward, and so on and so forth. Alternatively, let's say a very, very simple option, if you want to bring the cloud more in the front, in the very first visual layer, what you can do is to press on Ctrl X to cut it, and then when you press on Ctrl V to paste it, that will automatically put it on the very most visible layer. You can also do that. If you are for instance forgetting that we have that arrange option in the home menu in PowerPoint, you can also cut, paste, and you will bring it to the first layer. But that might be a bit more complicated than mainly if you have multiple elements to do so. But however, it's up to you. Then let's say that I have my three shapes, which are looking like this. I can also arrange them and see exactly which is the distance between them, just to be sure that I'm in the middle, and the spacing, you can see the spacing is equal between 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. And if I want to keep it as it is, I can again press on Control. I have the sun selected. Press on Control. I have the cloud. I have the smiley. And then by clicking on Group, I can actually group my three elements into a single one. And now I can also resize them if I want. I can play a lot of them, but now I don't need anymore to care about the spacing and the distances that they have between them. Then if I want to ungroup them, I can simply select the group, go to range, ungroup, and now it's no longer ungrouped. Now, for the final part of your range, what we can do is to select all of them. So I'm pressing Control, 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 and left click, and I can align them left. You can see all of them, the three of them are aligned to the left, or align center. Now are centered one against other. Aligned right, aligned at the right. Then what we can do is to align at the top. We can align on the middle, and so on and so forth. So you can actually play with those alignments and also to distribute them vertically, to distribute them horizontally. It's up to you how you want to play with that. Then thinking about the styles that we have here, for instance, if we go for instance, we delete that action button and we go on the slide and press Ctrl A, select all, we can also quickly make a change on the style. So the quick styles will allow us to change it as we want, but keep in mind that if you want to select all the shapes within the same slide, you need to be on the slide, because if you are on the slide level and not within the slide, and you press Ctrl A, will select you all the slides and your quick styles will disappear. So let's go ahead and see what else we have. We have the shape fill. For the smiley, we can play a bit with the outline, so we can put, for instance, a white outline to have those shapes white. And then we can also add some effects. We can add a shadow, we can add a reflection, we can add, what else, we can add a glow. So you can see out of the shape effects what you want to choose. For the preset, I would recommend you to avoid them. It's a personal opinion, but I would prefer those for perhaps buttons or something, that because the outlook, it's not always perfect. For this cloud could work, so if we take this one, that could work. But if we take, for instance, that part, let's say that we are taking that element and then we want to preset it to let's say this one, that could look good in some cases, not that good in other cases, but again, it's up to you to decide what we have. Moving to editing, we have the find option, and if we click on find, we can find, for instance, let's find hello and find next. We have hello, hello, and that's it. We have two hellos on the first two slides. I would highlight the fact that in the find option, you also have the replace option. So you can either find next or click on replace. And for replace, you can replace hello to good morning, for instance, and to replace them all. But As you can see, you don't have the option to find. You can also only find next, but this is the only difference between what we have in find and replace. Actually, it's the same option, is the same window type, replace and find, and of course the shortcuts are Control F to find and Control H to replace. Then for the selection, as I mentioned, we can see that if I'm clicking now on select all, one slide selected, it's going to not to know what to do. If we are within the same slide, and so click on the slide, select all, everything is selected. If we go and actually select that slide and go select all, we have all the slides selected. Then that's a plugin that I have. Let's move ahead and let me show you something that you might actually like, mainly if you are not having that much time. Let me delete that and press on dictate. And hello, this is M. Welcome to my channel. How awesome can that be? You can, if you have the dictate option in your PowerPoint, you can actually dictate your presentation. You don't need to write it, but you can also dictate it. There are some languages available, among which, of course, is US English or UK English. So you can play a lot with this if you don't have time. For instance, you are preparing something else, you need quickly to do it, you can go on dictate and that's it. Now, for the design ideas, let's say that I have, let me delete all the slides. So on the last slide, I can press on Shift and the first one and press delete, and we don't have anything anymore. Let's delete also the sections and we have a brand new document. If you click on the design ideas, your PowerPoint is going to actually recommend you some themes that you can use. So this was actually the reason for me saying that you might want to start with a blank presentation and then continue with the themes, because you have that option also. And this will only propose you one slide for the very first one, but if you add a new one here and you go again on design ideas, you will also have some design ideas that you can use. For instance, you have that kind of format. You can see what design ideas you have available. For instance, you add a new slide and then go again to design ideas, and let's say that we want to take this one, and you can have a quick support for your presentation without doing that much editing, visual editing, photo editing, and so on and so forth. So that was the reason for proposing you start with a blank and then customize it. Let's move ahead with the insert menu, where we have the first option, the new slide with the layouts, actually is the same that we saw in the home option. So insert will also start with insert new slide, which is good to know that we have them also there. Let's add a new slide, a blank slide, and we can add a table, and we can take that table and use it in our PowerPoint. Then we can choose the format that we want to have for that specific table. We will also have the options to change the colors, to change the view. My personal recommendation would be, whenever not critical to do so, avoid adding tables in Excel, because it's not very visual. Might be useful if it's needed for a specific reason. Do it, of course. It's up to you. But if you are not restricted to use it, then avoid it. That's very personal recommendation. Then let's add a new slide, blank slide, and we can add a picture. The picture can be on this device, online pictures, or stock images. If I'm clicking on stock images, I will have a quite consistent portfolio of images that I can integrate in my document. So let me see. Okay, I can add, for instance, one or more images that I want to have. For instance, you see, if I selected one, I have one. If I select the second one, I can insert the second one at once. So let's insert only one for the moment. Click on insert, and here you have your image from the online stock. And then that image can be customized as you wish. For instance, you can change the way that it looks like, but keep in mind that if you want to adjust the format of that picture, don't go right or left, but go to the angles and enlarge it or minimize it, starting with the angles, just to be sure that your resolution will be the same and the picture will be kept at the maximum quality. If I want to place it in the middle, I can see those lines, one vertical, one horizontal, that is showing me that my photo is actually on the middle. I can choose among those styles what or how I want to have it. Let's go with this one. And then I can also add a specific border if I want to. I can also add some effects. For instance, I can create a shadow. I can let's say that I want to put it like this, or to create a sort of reflection, as we saw different types of reflection, full reflection, sorry. Then we can also rotate it to the direction that we want to have it. So that might be a pretty nice effect created quite quickly. Let's continue with the insert options. What you can also insert, it's a screenshot. If you click on screenshot, actually you can add your screenshot starting with PowerPoint. You don't need to take the screenshot and then paste it into PowerPoint, or passing through a paint and then paste it into PowerPoint. You have the screenshot option also embedded in PowerPoint. If you want to add a photo album, you can add a new photo album. Now, for the shapes, you can see that the shapes are actually the same shapes as we saw in the home options in drawing. So we are not going to get back there. Let's go to the icons, which are again are some icons that you can use, as many of them as you want, because it's part of your PowerPoint. So you can add that Camila and then change, for instance, colors and also the effects. Let's say that we want to have a shadow, and here we have it. Now let's go ahead and add a new slide, still a blank slide, and to see the 3D model. So we can have a predefined our a 3D model on our device, or we can go on the stock 3D models. And here we have some static 3D models or even animated 3D models. And for the animations, let's play a bit with that one. Let's see, it's loading. Still loading. Let's take let's take some, let's say that we want to take the fishes. Okay, let's insert them. It's now inserting the fishes in my presentation. It's taking a bit longer because I'm using a lot of resources of my computer. Now, this is the for the 3D model that we have here, which is animated. Let's try to do to add also, to insert also another one. Let's go to animated and let's say the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So it's inserting the model, and we don't want to have that kind of animal going in our direction, so let's move it in a different direction. So you can choose what will happen with your 3D models, but let's see also how. Let me add something. Let me look up for something that might work. Okay, so let me add that line and see in the slideshow how it looks like. So you can see that this is actually no video editor, no image editor. It's simply PowerPoint that can run your 3D animations. If I'm pressing on escape and going on for the 3D models, going on where we have the 3D model menu, what we can do, it's also to look up if for that specific 3D animated model we have also different scenes, because it can do different things. As you can see, it can behave differently. So we can play with that and we can see animation per animation what we have. If we want to freeze it, we can also freeze it by clicking on none. And now if we go again, we can see that one animation is active, one is inactive. So we can play a lot with that. And of course, aside of the animated 3D models, we also have the static 3D models. Let's move forward and get back to the table. Let me delete that one. So I will go here where we have the border, and when I have the 2 arrows or the 4 arrows, I don't know, I press delete and it's deleted. Now for the smart art, what we have here, it's a set of options that we can use. And for instance, if we want to add one 3D model, we can add it like this. Then to change the colors, to find some other colorful options that we have. And here, let's say that we have PowerPoint, Excel, then Outlook. We can also write it here, M. And this is a way of adding the smart art first and then adding the text. So it's fully editable. You can, if you want to add a new one, you can add a new one. You can do whatever you want if the smart art is compatible with that number of data sets. But we can play a lot with what we have here. Then let's create a new slide and add this time a chart. If you add a chart, you can add, for instance, that chart. And then you will have that Excel window open that will allow you to change the data. So you can change the data, let's say 5, 4, 3, and 2. And then we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as you can see, it's dynamically updating my chart. I can simply close that one and I will have my chart like this. A question that you might have is why it's everything now purple, the smart art, because that was the theme that we used. So we applied, we went to the design ideas to find ideas, but at the same time we added some formatting to our presentation. Of course, we can change it. We can change, for instance, the design. We can change the colors that we have. For instance, we can have those colors and then change to that format, and we can pretty much play a lot with that. Then if we want to edit the data, we can edit data. So you can see as soon as we click on the chart, we have the chart design, and we also have the edit data, which allow us edit data to edit in that pop-up window, which is this one, or actually open an Excel file with the data. My personal recommendation would be for the charts, even that we have the possibility, for instance, to move the legend from bottom to the right, let's say. Here we have it here. So we have the menu for the chart. I would recommend you to prepare your chart in Excel to have all the backup data, and then to paste it as image or as embedded chart in PowerPoint, just to avoid presenting something which is not backed up by a lot of data. So that would be a recommendation, but it's up to you. If you want to add a chart in PowerPoint directly, the application will allow you. Then we have the get ads and get add-ins, sorry, and my add-ins, which are micro programs that we can add to PowerPoint to do, usually to do things that are not available in our application. It's not only compatible with PowerPoint, but also with other programs. But this is what we have for add-ins. I would insist on the zoom and the zoom options that we have. So we don't have a section here anymore because we deleted those slides. So that's why we cannot slide zoom on section, but we can keep in mind that the first slide that we have is this one, right? We go to the last one that we created, and let's say that we want to summary zoom. And that in that summary zoom, we want to have that first slide, slide number 4, 5, 5, and 6, and insert them. This is what the summary zoom does. And to better understand, aside of having those images or those previews for your slides, if you go to the slide show and you go to your slides, you can zoom in or zoom out for your slides, keeping in mind that those slides are also organized in a way that it's very, very professional and very, let's say, very well structured. But if you want, for instance, to go in that slide, and let's make it smaller. Okay, and let's say that we want to place one slide, for instance, here, and we want to add that slide. And then for that specific slide, what we can also do is to add another one, just to be sure that we can actually explain what happens. Now we can see that we have one slide here and one slide here. If we go again in the slideshow mode, we can go here and get back and go here and get back. So now we can play with the slides. We can choose the slides that we want to add. And one main benefit for the slide zoom, it's not a new functionality. It's already for a couple of years present. It's not very used as far as I saw, but in some cases you have 2 to 3 minutes to make your presentation, so you need to show a lot of things within a very short time, and you want to impress your audience by your visual and of course by your pitch or elevator pitch even. Or if there are limitations, you cannot have more than 2 to 3 slides, but you need to have some consistent data, so you have a lot of data sets that you need to present with your slides. Actually, what the Zoom does is to embed your slides into one slide. So let's say the user interface would be that it's only one mega slide, it's not multiple slides. So if in some situations that might be acceptable for your audience, for your project, do so, because I think it's a pretty cool option that we have in PowerPoint. Now let's go here and say hyperlink, and then to go here and insert a link. And we can either choose to www, okay, that's perfect, or let's play with hyperlink. A hyperlink that would lead us to, let's say, to slide number 1. So let's select that one, go to link, insert link, and then place in that document and link it to summary Zoom. Perfect. Then let's go to presenter mode. And if we go with the external hyperlink, we can see that small hand that shows for both of them, but shows. But if you click there, no matter which is the link that we have, if it's not within the document, that might be an external link, might be an object. Keep in mind that take your audience outside of your presentation mode. So keep that in mind. Then for the hyperlink within the document, if you click on that one, you can see that actually is doing almost the same that we had with the action buttons. So you can play with the things. For instance, I can go from summary Zoom, add a link, and then that link to go to slide number 2, hyperlink. So now if I go here, I can click on that one, and from here I can get back. So you can play with that one too. Then what we have in the insert options is also, let's take a shape, for instance the Camilla. We can also add an action, so we can add the actions not only at the action buttons that we saw there, but also for objects that we have in our presentation. So it's exactly the same to go to the next slide, previous slide, first slide, last slide, and so on and so forth. So you can play only with the action without the buttons if you want. The comments will allow you to have to add a comment, to see the comments that you have to delete, to preview. So really to have an overview about the comments. If you need to collaborate with others, or if you need to remember something that you have in your PowerPoint, you can use the comments. Then for that new slide, what we did also before was to add the text box, and the text box actually is what we have in the layers. The layers have text boxes, or might be also prepared for you to add images. So the text box will allow you to add text in your box, and so it's quite self-explanatory. Then we have the header and footer, which allow you, for instance, to add your date and time, your slide number, and your footer. Let's say that it's PPT from PowerPoint presentation, and then to apply to all. And now we can see that we have the date, we have the footer, we have the slide number, so that could be pretty cool in some cases and very professional when you are presenting your document. Then the word art, as we know them, is pretty cool. It's a formatted text with 3D effects, shadows, whatever options we have, and that's mostly it. Then the date and time, it's exactly the same as header and footer. You can see also the pop-up window name is header and footer, so it's exactly the same window that we had here. The slide number equal, it's exactly the same. So I would recommend you to go and header and footer and to choose whatever you want, because those are going to do exactly the same thing. So adding an object could be to add an image, to add a document, to add a PDF document, to add a Word document, whatever you want. And when your users, because in presentation mode won't work, are going to click on that, that will open your object. The equation, it's as we have it in the equation function in Excel. We can add an equation actually in our PowerPoint, and here we can add it. We have, of course, the menu. So don't take the visual part, the graphics, to create your equation in PowerPoint, because it's not good, it's not practical, and mainly because we have that option to add the equation. The symbol, what would be, if we go to the text box and for instance we want to add a symbol, we can add a symbol here and close it, and we have that symbol added in our text box. Then let's create a new slide, and in that new slide, to go to video, where we have this device, online videos and stock videos. If you remember, it's exactly the same like we had for pictures. But let's go with video and see what we have among the stock videos. We have a great set of videos that we can use. And here we have also the player. So it's playing actually our video. And then if we click on the video, we have the playback, and here it's automatic, loop until stop, and let's say rewind after playing, and let's say hide not while not playing. I wouldn't tick that one, but let's see our video in action. You can see that it's actually video within our PowerPoint, and that video is available within your PowerPoint application. So you don't even need to check or to browse for videos and to embed them in your PowerPoint. So you can use that one if it's appropriate for your presentation type. You can add audio from your PC or to record your own audio. And then another thing that you can do is to record your screen. To record your screen, you can simply press on record screen. Let's get back here. So when you press on screen recording, you can select the area that you want to record. Let's say that we take that area. You can also record your pointer or not, as you wish. You can record the audio as you wish. And when you please click on record, that will show up this 3, 2, 1, and then now it's recording. If we look here, it's recording 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. Let's stop. And now we can cut that part, for instance, add a new slide, put it here, and then for the playback, automatically play full screen, loop, and we can see, and then now it's recording. If we have here, it's recording 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds, and then now it's recording. If we look here, it's recording. It recorded actually our screen. So I used to play with that a lot for screen recording purposes, mainly if it's not that big, so you have really a few seconds or 1-2 minutes top, and then you are discussing with people and trying to explain something very straightforward, but missing the visual part. Let's say that you are chatting with somebody or you are communicating by email. Then what you can do is simply to show what it's all about. So really to record your screen using PowerPoint, and then to send, for instance, one slide in your PowerPoint with a screen recording, and to say that's what I was meaning actually. That could be very useful. Then moving to the design, what we have here in fact are some, I wouldn't call them design ideas, but mainly themes that you can use in your PowerPoint and to create the presentation that you prefer. So that would be very similar with design ideas. You can see that design ideas is also part of that design part, and you can simply check what kind of theme is better fitting you, keeping in mind that when you are choosing one theme, that theme will be applied to all your slides. So now you can see the difference between our slides, which are all using the same theme. Then we have the transitions. What are the transitions? Let me delete the summary zoom for the moment, and then to add some transitions. What are the transitions? If we go again in presenter view, so the slideshow, we see the slides moving like this. So it's not animated at all, but perhaps we want to animate them. And what we can do is to go here at the transitions and to add the transition that is fitting us. Let's say that we start with a fracture, and then we want to have a shape, and then we want to fall over, and so on and so forth. Let's try the 3 of them just to get the idea. You can see that now what is happening, it's a different layout. The slides are passing one to another in a different way, and that's because we added transitions for each one of them. So you can add one transition per slide, meaning that that slide will end with that specific transition. If you want, for instance, we have this kind of transition for the first slide. Okay, that might be a bit quick. We can expand the duration. For instance, let's say that we add 5, and then you can see that now it's much slower. So we can make it quicker or slower as we wish. We can add a sound. Let's say that we want to add some applause. We can apply the same transition to all the slides, at once. Let's take one. Let's move from fracture to, let's say that we have cubes, which might be very professional. So apply to all cubes. Let's expand the duration to 3. Apply on mouse click, not automatic. Let's go. We have the first one, then the second one, then the third one, and so on and so forth. So now we apply the same transition for all the slides. Depending on your audience, the level, the professional level of your audience, is very important to keep those in mind. So first, keep in mind that being consistent is very important. Aside of the content, aside of the layout that you're using, the consistency of your transitions might be also a very useful part. So to use them or not, depending on your audience. Then to use the same transition or different transitions, depending on the project details, or again, your audience, is very important. Then I would recommend you to avoid having an automatic transition from slide to slide, but to keep the mouse click. Just because at a certain point, let's say that you are at slide 3 and some of your participants is asking you a question, you don't want the slide to go ahead to the next ones, you want to control the slides. So I would recommend you to do that. Then a very last point regarding the transitions and also the animations that we're going to see just next, is very important to keep in mind that if you are presenting using a video application, for instance a video chat, or a kind of application that might not have enough bandwidth or might be limited so to a certain frame per second, then you might think of avoiding transitions. So keep all that in mind and make a lot of tests before actually presenting it live. Now let's get to the transitions, to the animations, sorry. And what we have here is two images appearing like this, but perhaps I want the tiger to float in perhaps a bit slower on click. Okay, this is my first animation, and the Camilla I want to bounce, and to bounce for, let's say, 4. Now let's see what we have. I'm not doing anything. I'm now clicking on the right arrow. You can see the first animation, again right arrow, and the second animation with the speed that we just set. If I want to trigger them differently, for instance, I want not to be at click, but to be with previous, and that to be after previous. Let's check like this. What we have, I'm not pressing anything, and the first animation is going, and the second just after the second one. If I want to understand what's actually happening, I have here the animation pane, which shows me exactly which is the sequence of my animation. So if I'm putting this, the first animation with the tiger, at click, then I have the mouse symbol. If I'm putting here with previous, it's showing nothing. If it's after previous, meaning that will happen after previous, that I have that timer. So I can put here with previous, and now you can see that both animations are going to be the same. I can also reorganize them as I wish. But now let's see what's happening with this kind of animation. Not pressing anything again. Both of them are starting in the same moment. Why? Because this was what we set up. And you can see that if I'm taking the second animation and I'm saying after previous, it's going to move from 0, 0, so position number 0, to 0 and 1. Now we have the 1. We have the 0 and 1. So we will have a succession of animations. Then regarding the animation, what we can do, it's also after running the those two animations, which are actually entrance animations. We can also use the emphasis animations to insist on something. We can also add an exit animation or even a customized path. So let's see that we want to add for both of them, add an animation, and that animation to be fade, and the fading to be quite slow. And then to be after, of course, after the first one. So now let's change here again with previous. Let's see what is going to happen. Not clicking anything again. And we can see that the tiger started to fade out, but not the Camilla. Why? Because the Camilla was after previous. Let's say that we want with previous, and let's play it back. And now both of them are fading. So we can add multiple animations, entrance animations, and if we wanted, for instance, to add a specific animation, let me take one new slide, and in this new slide to insert, for instance, an icon, and that icon to be a plane. Okay, so I'm taking this plane, not changing anything, and then from animation I'm going to take the loops, and I can expand that loop. Let's see our on-click animation again. So that would be a path animation. We can also have a custom path, so to specify the direction, but that's very, very useful whenever applicable and whenever you have time to create a customized animation. Then for the slideshow, whenever we look to the slides, we pressed here on the slideshow. Actually, that slideshow is showing the current slide, so it's actually the same as we have that slideshow menu here. If you want to play from the beginning, you can either go here or press on F5, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm pressing F5, and that's starting with the very first slide. So what I personally do is whenever I want to have a view for the current slide, so I can press on either here or press on Shift F5, and that will show me the current slide. If I want to go from the beginning, I'm simply pressing on F5. The pluses and the minuses is that when you're working on your PowerPoint presentation, you don't want to review the first slides. For instance, you review the slides and you are at the slide number 11. It's only 2 left, 11 and 12. And you don't want to play from the beginning unless you still have doubts. So you might want to go from current slide. But if you are remaining on a specific slide, and then that's your starting point, you need to go. Let's go with a presentation just to be sure. Avoid using anything but F5, just to be sure that even if you are on the last slide, you're not going to present that last slide, but you are going to begin with the very first one. So keep that in mind. That custom shows allows you actually to change the order of the slides. So for instance, you can have 6, 3, 9, 1, and what will happen? So you can add them up. Let's say that slide 9, hyperlink, okay, show. And now you can see that your order is actually messed up. To be honest, I never use that option to have customized slideshow. I usually put the slides, so if I want to have a custom slideshow, I'm changing the order of the slides, not going to that function, but it's good to know that you have that also. The custom slideshow, the Rehearse with Coach is a function, quite new functionality that allows you to practice with a sort of artificial intelligence aside to set up your slideshow that allows you to see some options, the monitor, and so on and so forth. So really to prepare for your preparation, to your presentation. Then the record, you can record from the current slide or from the beginning and play narrations, use timing, and so on and so forth. You can also use subtitles, and then for the subtitles languages, to be sure that you have the correct language. Why a subtitle can be useful when your audience is not speaking the same language, all of them, or not all of them are speaking the language that you are using for your presentation. And then for the slideshow, I would insist on the monitors to keep in mind that if you have multiple monitors, that could be a tricky one. Let's say that you have 3 monitors. You have the main monitor in front of you. You have the external monitor at left, number 2, and the external monitor, number 3, at your right. And you want to present your show, your slideshow, your document on left, on monitor number 2, because in front of you you want to have the camera, but also the notes that you added here, so you to be able to read the notes by looking to the camera. And to the monitor number 3, you have your email client, you have your email application. Then you will have here in monitors, you will have your primary monitor and then secondary monitor, so the one from the left, and then the third monitor, the one from the right, that you don't want to expose. So keep in mind that having the monitors set up is very important. Practice before, test it before, because in our case, what I should do would be to have the second monitor, the one from the left, number 2, as presenting monitor, and then to have the notes in front of me, just to avoid presenting to people my inbox, which wouldn't be the case. Moving ahead with the record, what we have here, it's again record, the same option that we just saw in slideshow, screenshot that we saw, screen recording that we saw, video to autoplay media, video options. So if I'm clicking here, I have the options to add my own video. So that would be similar to add a video from your device, audio to record audio from PC or record sound, to save it as show. What does it mean? Is actually not to have your PowerPoint editable, but to start in the slideshow mode, so people not to be able to edit it, but simply to view it. Or you can export it as a video, so you can choose among the video formats the one that best fits you. And then the review option, spelling, which links to the language that we have for your document. Then if we take, for instance, this text, we can go on Thesaurus and see what options we have. Here we don't have anything similar. We can check the accessibility from here, if it's available for use for different machines and you want to make some fixes. Then the search, I would insist a bit more on the search, because for instance, if you go here and have search, it's going to show you, like in a browser, definitions, article, documents about what you have selected here. So that might be quite practical. If you want to translate, let's say that we want to translate hyperlink from English to, let's say, German. Still hyperlink. Okay, it's not the best word to be selected, but however, you got the idea. You can translate it in the language that you want. You have also the more detailed comment menu to show the comments, add, delete, previous, next, and so forth. Then you have the compare option, which what actually means is, it means that I'm creating my presentation. I have the version 1, the view 1, and then I'm sharing that presentation with somebody else, just for that person to review it. And that person is saving it as version 2. And then I want to combine the version just to see what that person did, which were the changes. And then those changes, to accept them, to reject them, to go to previous, next, next change, and my review, and so on and so forth. So that compare option, which is not only available in PowerPoint but also, for instance, in Word, you can use it to compare two documents to see the differences. And then for the notes, what you can do is to link your OneNote with the notes in PowerPoint, just to be sure that you have all your notes. And then final option in the menu, what we can see, it's actually what we saw here below: the outline view, the slides sorter, the notes, the reading view. Let me escape that one, go to normal. Then what we can also have is to see, for instance, the slide master, which allow us actually to create a very consistent set of slides with formatting and everything. Then what we can have here is to have a handout master, which allows us to have the view of our document. You can see that what we added, date, the slide number are still present here. Then we have the notes master, which allows us to see the notes that we have for the document. We can add here a ruler. You can see it here. Now we have the ruler. So deactivated, activated. We can have the grid lines, which are those ones. Just be sure that our organization in page is very well calculated. And we can also have, let me untick this and see the guides, which are going to show us the middle page at the vertical and horizontal angle. So let me zoom allows you, of course, to zoom your presentation, zoom in or out. Fit to windows, it's to fit your slide to your specific window, because you might be on a big monitor or a very small monitor. You can choose if you want to have a grayscale, a black and white, so really to play with some effects. And then the new window, arrange all, cascade, switch windows will be options when we are working with multiple PowerPoints. So when you want, for instance, to cascade all your documents, then those documents will be cascaded. We'll see a sort of cascade of documents. I wouldn't recommend you to do that, because by having multiple documents, for instance, I have document 1, 2, 3, and each document is being opened in an individual application, then I will have 3 times more resources used, while I can open the very first presentation, then press on Ctrl W or Ctrl F4, close it, and press on Ctrl O to open the next presentation, presentation number 2. That will simplify my work and also reduce resources. And then the final option that we have here is the macros. Actually, the macros are codes that can be run really to program your PowerPoint in a completely diverse way. So we will see how macros are working for PowerPoint. Please leave me a comment if you would be interested in. If not, I would link the VBAs or the macros mainly with Excel. So thank you so much for watching. I will close my document with Ctrl W now. So just kidding. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. I really hope that you saw functionality that you weren't actually aware that PowerPoint has. Please do like this video if you actually like it, subscribe to my channel, and see you soon. Bye bye.